Wine is an ever-changing scene. I mean, it's been changing all of my life, and it's going to change probably even quicker. God knows how many millions of bottles there are in the world, so there are a lot more wines out there than I can drink. So I guess it's because there's always something new.
So what do you guys think? Personally, I can't watch this enough. Every time I watch it, I see something different. I learn something new. It's absolutely incredible. One thing I didn't get to do earlier, I want to thank all you guys that brought bottles today, because everybody always brings crazy, great shit, you know, and one of the things, so the Judgment of Paris, so my friend Zippy brought 74 Chateau Montelena. If you guys know what a unicorn wine is, that's a unicorn wine, and not did he just bring one bottle, he brought 4 bottles. Thank you. Thank you. That's incredible. So, we're running a little bit late, but I'm going to turn it over to Jason, and we're going to do some Q&A, and ask him anything, because he's great, and he'll give you all the straight answers. Jason?
Hi. Hi, how are you? Well, I'm standing here, so it's always fun to ask this question because you have to say you liked it. Do you guys like the film? Yeah. It's always, it's a good one. Thank you so much. I know it's a very strange thing to make a film that is a sequel that's not a sequel, then makes another one that's not really a sequel. It's a very weird process to do this. So thank you for having the patience, and being drunk watching it helps. It really helps with these movies that there's alcohol. I do, just a couple quick things. You have to understand, Somm 1, we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, I have to be very clear about this. There's 3 people basically that made all of these films. My wife, myself, my wife's name is Christina, she's the producer and writer of these movies, she's brilliant. Myself and our cinematographer and co-editor of mine, Jackson, and we basically, the first movie we made for nothing out of our spare bedroom, essentially. And it was a wing and a prayer, and I mean, there were many times we borrowed a camera from somebody on a favor, and we lived off Starbucks gift cards we got it, for last Christmas and things like that. This is a very tough movie to make, so we didn't really know what we were making. We didn't know what we were doing, we didn't know. Second film, we felt, there was this moment where I got a call right after Somm 1 came out, and a friend of mine in Cleveland, Ohio said, "Have you looked at the front page of ESPN.com?" And I said, "No, the Browns aren't playing today, so no." And he said, "You need to go to ESPN." So I looked at it, and they released the best sports films of the year, and number 3 was Somm. And I remember, I looked at Christina and I go, is this, what does this mean? I don't know what this means. And, but I think that kind of made us realize we owed a wine film. Because that first movie is not a film about wine. I think if you're a CPA or an Olympic swimmer, or anybody who's doing something with no backup plan, trying to take the bar exam or whatever else, you can relate to Somm 1. But we also had a lot of very crusty old wine writers who were like, "I hate this movie." I'm like, "Why?" Like, "Well, because it's not about wine," and so, and they had other reasons too, trust me. And, but so we said, okay, I owe it to make a wine film. And during the process of this, I really fell in love with wine. I've always been a big history person, as far as I love history. And it's easy if you love history to get into wine, as a lot of you guys already know this. And so we made the second film. And I would have rather put I'm trying to think how many guns to my head. Not one, maybe 20, then make a third film. And my previous film was about a 94-year-old actress who was on the Dick Van Dyke Show, and it's about the mob and all this stuff. My next film is about sea urchin divers. So we go all over the map. And this woman who invested a very small amount of money, our production company's tiny, and she said, you can make whatever you want, all these crazy movies, but please make another Somm film. I was like, no. And she's like, you can make it about anything you want. So I started thinking, anything I want, so let's set the bar impossible. So I said, fine, I want Robert Parker, Jancis Robinson, Steven Spurrier, and Fred Dame to meet at a table, sounds like the beginning of a joke, to meet at a table in Paris and bring the wines that got them into wine. And I thought, that'll end it. So we reached out to all of these people, and every single one of them said, we love your films, we're in. And I was like, shit. So I ended up having to figure out how I could turn that concept into an actual story. And I have to tell you right now, I hope the film feels like it makes sense and it has a through line. I will tell you, we had no idea what the hell was going to happen. One time after another. We don't take money from wineries to be in these movies. In fact, up until 3 weeks ago, we were still clearing wine labels to be in this film. So, and it's a certain integrity thing because the wine business is so pay for play. It is a thing that, and that's fine. It's just when you make a film about the subject, you know, the story of how Clos de Vol got in this thing, I mean, every single aspect of this was we didn't know. Delynn, Ian, myself, our girlfriends and wives, and our children are all playing. It's like, well, they weren't playing at 2 in the morning. We were drinking at 2 in the morning. They were all asleep, the kids at least. And so we were supposed to film at 8 in the morning the next day at the Napa Valley Reserve. The only reason I was filming was to get auction footage. It's really hard for an auction house to let you film their process. And so Napa Valley Reserve had said, you can film auction footage. So I thought, just B-roll. So let's just drink our faces off, show up, shoot the B-roll, and then, you know, whatever. But I said to the room, I would kill to open up a Judgment of Paris vintage wine in the film. Like, well, you know, Ian said impossible. You can't get it. Delynn said, he just perks up and he goes, well, which one would you like to open? And I said, well, my top choice would be Clos de Vol because it was their first vintage. They had no business being in that tasting. It's a great story. And so he picks up the phone, 2 in the morning, and their rep answers the phone. And he tells them I'm with Jason, who directed the films, and wants to open up a Judgment of Paris wine and wants the 72. And Armin said, there's 3 left that we know of. And he said, and also, don't call me again. It's 2 in the morning, I have to be up in 3 hours. And he hung up. And so then Delynn, totally undiscouraged, goes, he shouldn't have answered. He'll answer again. And he calls him again. And so then he said no again. And then finally on the 3rd call, he said, okay, I will have a bottle of 72 at 8 a.m. for you. Do not call me again. And so that scene where Delynn and Steven and them, none of them, they were all working that event. They were all trying to do Madeline's tasting, Steve Mathiassen's pouring, and none of them knew. You know, I asked them, I want to go film this thing. They all said no. I said, do you want to drink 72 Clos de Vol with Steven Spurrier downstairs? And they go, yes. And they all like, so like, that scene is so spontaneous. And on top of it, like, Clos de Vol had no idea they were going to be in the movie. We had the Dustin tasting came about out of nowhere. I mean, I was already going to New York to interview Dustin, Laura, Sabato, all these people for a film that was supposed to be about how the hell did we get where we are with wine. That was it. We were going to get deep into the Judgment of Paris, deep into all the bullshit that we all understand in the wine business. I really wanted to go through how are we where we are. And I thought, God, Dustin's kind of the same age. He's opening up a retail shop in the toughest market. He's a maniac to try this, just like Spurrier was in Paris. And I thought, what if? And I thought maybe it's just a 3-minute section in the film, a lesson. All wine's good, move on. Great. Because I thought maybe, you know, something Dustin picks will, and there was this tie. And I never would have done it if Spurrier hadn't said if he was going to do it today, he would do Pinot. And I couldn't sleep after that. So it was one of these, like, it's just like this constant thing of me throwing new ideas at Christina, and every time she's like, no. We have this plan, we're going to stick to the plan. We never stuck to the plan in any previous films. Let's do it once. And every time I kept, you know, these new things. So anyways, I just want you guys to understand, this was, that's why it's a very personal film for me, because we had 2 days to figure out if we were going to fly Dustin to Paris from his only vacation he's had in 2 years. He was in Aspen. to blind taste people that if you watch this again, he is terrified. Terrified at that table to meet. He had never met Jancis, he had never met Steven, and Fred, I mean, he's terrified of Fred, even to this moment, he knows Fred. So it's like, he walked into this just absolutely shaking, and you'll see him, he's clearing his throat, he's like, it was a very fun process to make this movie, and actually have it, and Robert Parker was supposed to be there, and he had some health issues and a number of other things, and he was very severely wronged in a film called Mondovino, and so he's very apprehensive about being in a film, and he ended up not being able to come, he's fine, but I'm glad he wasn't there, because if he were, there'd have been a tiebreaker. And that is the wrong message in wine. I mean, the whole thing is it's subjectivity built within subjectivity built in. And I don't care if, so many people, it's like a wine's $200, it's not worth it. Or a wine's $10, it's not good. Or a wine's $5, and that is the stupidest attitude. The whole thing is so, as an outsider who's not a sommelier, not in the wine business, just has drank insanity for 10 years. Pretty much drunk the whole time. It's my perspective on wine is that it is so personal and not. You got to look past a lot of marketing. You got to look past a lot of things, but there's so much to love about this business, and to love about drinking, and to love about. I mean, geez, I probably never would have gotten laid if it wasn't for wine. So that's a good thing. I have 2 kids. Trust me, wine is to blame for all of it. So anyways, that is my long answer to why this film exists. Right, yeah, well, some of you, but exist because of wine yourself, so. Okay, so I guess, since it's just me here, why don't I hope there are a couple questions, or, any comments? Yeah, sure.
Best glass of wine you ever tasted?
Best glass of wine I ever had. If you've seen the second film, it's hard for me not to give this answer. Now, I understand I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so my world of wine is Franzia, growing up. Wine in a bottle, I was like, wine comes in bottles? But I'm gonna give you an answer that's like, a priceless bottle of wine, and that's not my normal MO, but I have to be honest here. That 69 Hermitage I had in part 2, drinking with Jean-Louis, and it was 4 minutes before he opened it that he said, all right, fine, let's do it, let's open